Wow.
Yay.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. Welcome back. We're so excited to have a conversation, and we'll just, whoever wants to start about their week or what's going on, the energy, the feeling.
Mm. This has been it's 11:11 here right now.
Of course.
So I'll start.
And
Okay.
it's 1:11 here.
Yes, that's right.
And I have
Um,
11 p.m.
it has
2:11.
been
I have 2:11. Just want to call it there.
very challenging energies for me personally. And I know that there's been a lot of stuff going on astrologically, and that it directly hits some of my key points in my chart. But it is definitely a time that is calling me to truly, truly walk my talk and step into my center, my soulful alignment, regardless of what is going on around me. There is, a lot of what I am seeing is not what I am manifesting.
Mhm.
So it's just a very, 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 walk your talk and get into that alignment. And I know we have waves of this in our life. That's life. Um, but this feels significantly different right now. And I think it's calling me into something much bigger and greater. I mean, I know it is, it always does, but I know this is a big shift. So I would love to hear how you guys are doing, and the people around you, because I know it's been quite a mix of responses when I talk with people, but everyone is feeling the heavier energy, for sure.
I
Mhm.
had a really, really interesting week. And I'm learning to understand that these weeks that seemingly are empty, I had very little client activity actually happening. But I understand that when these weeks happen, it's a space that's being created for something to shift. So
Oh,
I've become very
yes.
used,
Thank you
very
for saying that.
I've become very, well, I wouldn't say used to. I still kind of have to go, oh, okay, that's what. Because I had a huge release this week, linking to sibling energy, um, and taking my power back without going into all the dramatic detail, but taking my power back from the sibling energy, being the eldest of three girls. And it was an incredible release. And it was almost like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday was preparing for what actually happened on Thursday morning, and then through the day yesterday. And I was legless finished. I could do just about nothing else other than work with the energy of the release. I slept, I watched a video, and I then spoke through with somebody everything that had happened in terms of the release. And this morning I woke up with the most beautiful sense of peace. I'm going, oh, that's why it's time for me to be doing stuff for me and releasing whatever is no longer serving me. And I don't know if that's what you've experienced, Janice, but that certainly has been my week.
Thank you for saying that, because that's exactly what sums it up, is taking my power back. Um, and just, standing in that power and remembering who you are when the outside world, the circumstances around you are not reflecting that back to you.
And
Mhm.
it's very, very interesting. Again, the alignment. This week has been an interesting week, taking the courses and that Alana is putting on right now. And it's about me taking care of me. It's about giving myself the space and the time to do that, and having some really beautiful aha moments, in regards to myself and things that I was still carrying. But I can also relate, Janice, to the fact that there's a lot of heaviness, right? I mean, I work with clients. I am seeing very similar things that are, like, I think probably global in the way of how people are communicating. It's almost like they're having to learn a new language to be able to speak more to their truths, more to the honoring themselves and not laying the blame, holding themselves accountable. This
Yep.
is, I think, what people are being really pushed to do through the universe. And I'm seeing it. It's that element of walking that talk for people. And I think that's why this last couple of days with the, what was it called? Held, sorry,
Held,
Elaine.
heard, healed.
Yes, held, heard, and healed is really profound because of the fact that it is the feminine energy that's moving everything forward. So we are really having to clear the stuff that's holding us back.
Yep.
So that we can help other people to come along, right?
Yeah.
And we can speak to it differently.
Yeah. One of the themes that came up for me this week when, it came linking into what you're saying, but it actually wasn't about other people, it was about me. And it was about ownership. And it was about owning my choices, owning my space, owning not only my voice, owning my history, owning all of the all the events, the people, the places, the things that have been part of my path and been part of my journey to wholeness. But it takes a lot of awareness to be able to get to that point. And the ownership wasn't only around those things, it was owning who I am. And that brings in a whole different dimension to personal responsibility, accountability, and ownership, which links again back to self-sovereignty and agency and all of these things, these words that just kind of roll off people's tongues without getting into the real deep work that is required to get to that point. And so ownership for me came in at a slight, when the spiral turns, it came in at a different angle in terms of the spiral as to what ownership actually really means and translates in terms of me, myself, and I. So it was an interesting thing that came out of the release that happened yesterday morning. It was very interesting.
When you said about having the week open, I felt the same way of like, I didn't have a whole lot of client calls booked in, but it did open up space for, like you said, some other things to come through. Like it ended up being my Monday, Tuesday were not booked up, but they ended up being busy because I had a list of things that I needed to get done for this free event that I was doing this week. The heard, no, I said it wrong, held, heard, and healed. To get a bunch of that stuff done and other things that were going on that I needed to get productively done. So I didn't get the productively things done until at least Wednesday. And then it was super productive, but it was, again, this very heavy energy. And even in my own energy, I could feel this, like you said, Janice, too, of like, this isn't what I'm manifesting. And I was in an energy yesterday, specifically, where it wasn't like, between actually the last 2 days before now, even though we've been doing this event, there's been this, like, I kept feeling like I needed to ground, and it was heavy. And it was like, I kept feeling like my mind was kind of like wrapped up in like the 3D of things. And like you said, it's not manifesting in the way I want and thinking that. And then yesterday, what clearly came through was exactly what you're saying, Angela, of this, like, I need to own it more. Like where I'm going and what I'm doing and all of these different things that's why I was lost, is because I'm still not owning it
Right.
and having like really capturing that power for myself.
Oh, so juicy. That is exactly the experiences that I'm having right now, because I'm working with a speech coach in a group, because I am speaking at a conference next week and down in the States. And so it's a big deal. It's a lot of people going to be there, and it's like, so I am so used to, when we talk about women's energy, I am so used to the groups of nurturing, loving support. That's what I offer. That's the groups I'm in. And right now I'm experiencing some very strong feminine energies,
Yes.
very vocal, very strong in this other group. And so, my coach said to me, I had to rehearse my speech, and she said, it's confusing and it's word salad. I don't like it. And I was like, So she
Well, I feel like-
basically had me kind of tear it up and start over. And it hit me last night. It was like getting punched in the stomach. And
Mm.
it took me a while. Like I was tired. It was in the evening and I was like, oh, why am I doing this? Why am I even doing this? Right? Like, what? But what happened was I claimed my power back and I realized that through the night this was rolling through and I was dreaming and it was just pull your power back because you've just let it seep right out of you with that comment because I'm not used to that. But what came with that was she's right. Like what came with me claiming my power back was the ownership of she's absolutely right and is pushing me to
Yeah.
go better and bigger and so there's a part of me that was like how dare she.
Well, and that was very similar of like, for me, there was something that was going on here as well, for me as well. And it was like, oh, I needed to, it was my ego. It was like checking the ego of like, and not letting the impact of what was going on, like you said, that other feminine energy, and just, why am I even getting involved in that energy of, anyway.
Right. And
Yeah.
so it was interesting. It was just interesting. And I'll stop talking, but it was just interesting to see there are some very strong feminine voices in this group and also to see interaction between them where I'm like, ooh, maybe soften your words a little bit. But these are the women that are out there with their power stepping into creating a change. So we need to find that balance, right? So
I also see, Janice, though, with you and your energy and where you're at. Yes, you might have got stung by that statement. It triggered or activated something for you. But I think you're also stepping out of the groups that you're familiar with, where there's a safety and a comfortability. You're stepping out now in a way to plant the seeds in a group that needs to hear what you have to say and needs to be in your energy.
oh,
Yep.
So
thank you.
I need to soften. It's so interesting that I had such an interesting conversation with a client this morning. She was talking about her son was born with, he has a immune deficiency thing. He's been quite ill through the years. I mean, he's fine, but he's going through a moment where his antibiotics were changed and he's had an allergic reaction. And she was standing outside the specialist's office and knocking on the door. She said she could see him inside. And she was knocking on the door until he answered her. And she said, I don't like this going back into the masculine. And I said to her, but it's not about going back into the masculine. It's moving into the sacred masculine because it's the protector. And this is the yin yang balance that we're moving into. So Janice, you can do beautiful sacred masculine from your incredibly gentle, divine feminine. You don't have to become, because that's the other thing, is the pendulum swings, then we try to become like them and we actually lose our authenticity. So
there you go. Yeah. That's what was happening. And I think she saw that and she called me out on it. She's like, this isn't you. Like, yeah. But that's what's been going through my mind is like, I can bring me into this circle without becoming that. And that's where it's like stand in your power, bring your power back and move forward, knowing that what you have to give is needed in the world as much as whatever they're bringing forward. So,
well, and this is like, I think we've been constantly in this conversation specifically, we've been having this conversation around bringing the 5D in, and that we know, and we talked about even, a couple of different times about how we're bringing in different languages and different ways to do things. And Angela talked about even about bringing business into the 5D and all of these different pieces. So I feel like this is where we are, is that we're bringing this in, and it's not what's like, I even expressed this to somebody else not that long ago too, is like currently in the business world and out there, we see something completely differently. And we need to know that that's what's there right now because it needed to be. And there's an evolution that's happening. And as we continue to step more and more in our power, the more we're bringing that evolution out to that next level.
yeah, I love that. I spell evolution, evolution, and it's an evolution.
nice.
It's also, for me, it's also around when we start talking about things like claiming our power and standing in our truth. it can become very interpreted as power being the masculine, but the masculine out of balance, where that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about power emanating from truth, because that's what it's, if you put it into a good old corporate model where you start talking about referent power and positional power and all of those things, the one element that they do speak to, which is closest to the truth of what we're talking about here, is personal power. And that personal power comes from our truth, comes from our authenticity. And, Janice, with the environment that you're moving into, a lot of women have gone out of balance too far into the masculine, because that's what the commercial world has demanded of them, and still hitting glass ceilings, even though they are, not, in a sense, they're being authentic to who they think they need to be, but in hitting still those glass ceilings because they're still seen as women, and not stepping into the truth and the power of who we really are and what we have to give to the world. I do remember a little while ago when I first started working, in fact, it was quite a few years ago, when I first started working with the Divine Feminine, I kept on feeling like I was going around in circles and chasing my tail. And if you think about the feminine energy, it is all round. We use our arms, we pull in, we gravitate, and we draw in. And the thing that I realized was that we can't just stay in the feminine. We need to bring in the straight lines and the masculine to give. So from the beautiful creative energy, the structure that comes in behind that brings in the masculine, and there's the balance. It's not about swinging into the opposite end of the spectrum and becoming, there's just all of the kind of energies that we're seeing on the planet at the moment, where the masculine is so out of balance. And the feminine is going to lead the masculine back to its sacredness. There's no question.
And it's funny because I was working with a couple this morning with regards to that. She's very strong in the masculine because she's had to be, and because of the industry that she's in. She has also chosen someone who is similar to her father in the background, or her mother, I should say, and she's more like her father from that energetic standpoint and learned behaviors. And one of the things that I encouraged her to look at is, you're going to help him bring that along, but you have to soften and have the patience to be able to do so, because you're both breaking the constructs, right? And it's not easy. It's not easy, and it's not for the faint of heart. And even for myself, this week has been quite profound in the sense of the balancing of the masculine and the feminine, and the owning our stuff is not just the good, it's the accepting the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I'm still making mistakes, but they're experiences that are helping me to grow. And it's not anything that anyone else is saying or doing. It's me shining the light on myself.
Yep.
It brings tears to my eyes because it's powerful. Yep. But there's that still piece that, my God, I should have known better. Right? That's the humanness. And then it's pulling back from that and going, you know what? No, this is beautiful because it's growing. I'm growing, and everything is evolving the way that it should.
And the 3D environment is all about, Rob, I'm just speaking to the 3D environment is all about right and wrong, black and white. It's always about duality. Whereas the 5D energy, there's no such thing as a mistake. There is only learning. And
it's lessons, exactly.
Yeah, and that's what's so profound about being in the 5D energies. We drop the judgment.
Mm-hmm. But I've caught myself judging myself, right? And it's a beautiful thing. In that the emotion comes up because it's a level of awareness and joy that I can now move through that. Exactly. It's not tears of sadness or, oh, poor me. It's like, oh my God, I can actually now shift this and move through this and not have to carry this. And I'm getting truth bumps right now. Oh, love that. But it's in that genuineness too, right? Like, I think that's what's really important, is that we can be vulnerable with one another here, but we can be vulnerable out there as well.
Absolutely. That was my yesterday morning. There were tears coming through my eyes as well. Exactly the same kind of feeling and same kind of experience. And it just was this beautiful, and it's vulnerability, but it's also humility, that I can just be me. I
Mhm.
have carried space for so many people for decades, right from the time that I was a little
Great.
tot. No, from the time I was 3, when my mom, she had very serious pre and postnatal depression, and when my sister was born, I mean, she was put into a mental hospital after I was born to be with shock treatment, and then again with my middle sister.
Mm.
And already at 3, I stepped into the space of being the healer. And so it's always been about everybody else. And for the first time in my life, it's about me. It's got nothing to do with anybody else, is that I am the most important person in my life. And so as you're talking, Pamela, it's also bringing tears to my eyes, because that was exactly the space that I
Yeah,
found myself
it's
in
powerful.
yesterday.
It really is powerful.
Well, and especially when we are people that like, and I feel it from all 4 of us, is that we are not just the givers, but the nurturers and the like, again, it feels like we've all naturally held space for people automatically. Like just it's a part of the person, that essence of us. And even as you're speaking it, Angela, I feel that I'm like, even now, I still hold on to like not just the people pleasing, but it's the how can I hold space and have everything be fair for everyone else and give up everything within me to do that? Like, holy crap, that hits me. You know? Like,
Yep.
oh man.
And this is just an appropriate conversation for Mother's Day, because it's the mothers that need to take care of themselves, right? And that is that nurturing feminine, right?
And
And
take
she's
care of and celebrate yourself.
Yes.
We don't do enough of celebrating ourselves at all.
Yes.
And society, the conditioning of society is that mothers are supposed to be last. You know, we do it for everybody else, and if we do have anything left, just maybe there's something for us. I was just saying before we got onto the call today, my mother used to say her birthday is actually on the 11th of May. And she didn't like Mother's Day at all for 2 reasons. One was because it was right on top of her birthday. And the other one was she was going, why must my children take a day out to behave? And I mean, this is when we were younger, behave and be on point and do all those things. Why isn't it happening every day of the year? Why does, she was calling the inauthenticity of the holiday, as we have so many of these celebrations through the year, as opposed to this is who we are and this is how we show up for one another.
Right.
So, it always brings food for thought for me around the whole concept of Mother's Day. My daughter and son-in-law he's away for the weekend. She's going, he chooses to go away for Mother's Day weekend. I said, it's fine. I said, let's rather get together, you and I. We don't have to even celebrate Mother's Day. We can go and celebrate your Nana's birthday, because it's her birthday on Sunday as well. Let's do that. Who's that? You're not worried about Mother's Day? I said, no, I'm not at all. I said,
Yeah.
let's just do our thing. So yeah, but it is about honoring the mother in all of us, and seeing that beautiful mother.
And loving
I'm
ourselves. Loving,
absolute.
like turning the love inwards, the love that we have for everyone or our children or even your pets. Like, can you love yourself that much and more? And if we can sit in meditative silence and open your heart and bring that love in, and then turn it inwards.
Yeah.
Right? Just
Receive it.
yeah, receive it. And that can be, and when you think about receiving, your mother's love is your very first experience of receiving. And so there can be, if you struggle with, receiving in any way, if scarcity is a part of your life, you can maybe look back and say, and I think for a lot of us, it's quite relevant because we were raised in a time that I know my mother had Dr. Spock's baby book in the cupboard and referred to it. And I mean, my gosh, you would look at that now and go, that's abusive. It's like the times when they put you in your crib to cry yourself to sleep
Right.
because that was the way you were supposed to do it, when really the baby needs to be held and loved and kept safely. Like I just love the way new moms are carrying their babies against their
my gosh.
bodies. We're annihilating that scarcity for future generations right now, where we, perhaps did not receive as much love and acceptance and feeling of being completely safe as a baby as we needed. And that scarcity has followed us through life.
Yes.
And if you watch the
Amen.
African culture, babies get carried on their mom's back with blankets tied around them for. It has another issue where the children aren't crawling enough, so the depth perception doesn't develop as much either. But that closeness and that connection of babies being carried on their mom's back, or even on their front when they've got the blankets over them and they're just holding them, and it's just so special.
Did you imagine that amount of feeling of being safe and held completely and nurtured as you need it and fed as you need it? Like,
Well, like you said,
can I go back to being a baby?
right? Somebody take care of me. No. But it's like you said, it's that, like, what would the ripple effect of that look like? Well, and like you said, we're seeing it now. And the protectiveness, and there's been a lot of judgment even of this new generation, or not new generation, but the generation right now that's raising children, because they're like, again, they're those of us in this generation, they're like, that's not how we did it. It should be like this. And it's like, no, they're allowed to do what they want in the way they want. And they're doing it in such a different way that they won't have that ripple effect, like you said, that we've all had to kind of go through of that. And it's not judgment against, if anybody's listening that, has been in that generation either. It's zero judgment, but it's
what they learned.
yeah.
Did you ever see, there was a meme that was going on at one point, and it had different glasses and levels of tea, and the tea was being poured into each glass, and it was representing each generation, and how the tea was dark in the grandmothers, and then a little bit lighter in the mothers, and lighter still in the next generation, and how each generation was showing up and creating healing for the divine feminine in her generation. I mean, we wouldn't be having this conversation if it weren't for things like World War II, where women stepped into their power in the factories. And that level of if we look at the evolution, not only from the vote, but just where women stood in, and then kind of it all disappeared after the Second World War when men came back. And then that women had to kind of fight for their space again. And then we went through the 60s. And so if we look at the evolution of the generation of where they found themselves now, they're standing on the shoulders of giants who paved the way for them.
Yeah. And the I don't know if you guys have heard this before, blew my mind when I heard it, was that when my grandmother was pregnant with my mother, as I was already within my mother's womb as an egg. So that generational DNA is encoded in our cells. So when we are struggling with it, like, it takes time for this to process. And as we are healing, we're healing generations from behind us. And it's huge. Like that was, I remember hearing that a few years ago and going, what? That alone. Oh my gosh. No wonder we're carrying the wounds. We're carrying, the talents and the gifts also. Those beautiful psychic soul gifts are coming through from generations of when they had to keep them hidden. And that's that witch wound, or I'm afraid to speak. I'm afraid to be authentic because I might just get killed, right? Like, that is ingrained in ourselves. And so, yeah, that's blew my mind.
And it's all the things that we're not even aware of. And that's the thing, is that these wounds go so deep that we can't even comprehend it. And that's why, even like from our 3-day event, the free 3-day event we're doing, the Held, Heard, Healed, this is the stuff that's coming up, is some of this stuff that we're experiencing and have been holding on to for an awfully long time and unaware of.
And the thing that's so important and pivotal about where we find ourselves now, and particularly this conversation and this wisdom that's coming through, it's healing the generations behind us and going back through time and space to heal that. But when you put it into the context of the Native American Indian prophecy of the next 7 generations, this this wisdom is creating the fertile ground for the next 7 generations of women. And that's why the work that we are all doing collectively together is so critically important right now, because it is about creating the fertile soil and the ground for the divine feminine to take on her rightful role in the world.
And I, sorry,
No, carry on,
and
I'm done.
I see that. I don't have daughters. I have sons. And I can see how even for my sons, my healing is helping them to step into not just the masculine, but their feminine as well. And I'm seeing that particularly with my oldest one because of the kind of father that he is and the wisdom that he's sharing with his son. So it is not just for women. We're actually, these conversations and this truth and this wisdom and this understanding is to elevate and help the men come along as well. And it's mind-blowing. It really is mind-blowing when you have the conversation and you start to explore just how far and wide this is and the ripple effect that we don't get to see, right, for where we're going. And I shared with Alana, I had an aha moment, and I'm sure this may be for all of us, that we've been operating in the 5D energy for years, whether we've been aware of it or not.
Yep.
It's operating in the 5D energy. We're still in this 3D world, and this 3D world is going to be around for a while. So it's understanding that it's our energy that's helping to pull the rest of the universe and Mother Earth into that 5D. And it is just so powerful. And all it is us being authentic to ourselves. And again, that brings tears because it's so beautiful and yet so simple and profound.
There was some very powerful research done, and I'm going back when I did my honors degree in psychology, and I'm going back probably, I don't even remember, probably the late 1990s. And there was a guy, John Bowlby, and he put together a research material around the role of the father in the development of children. And he came at it from the point of view of people think that the nurturing only comes from mothers. It doesn't. It also comes from fathers. And he ran through a whole lot of characteristics of what a child needs in terms of the development from a father who is well balanced. And that speaks to what you're talking about, Pam, is the sense that your sons are taking from you, which is allowing them and giving them permission to step into that role, as opposed to being judged as, either they're labeled as whatever the labels are, whether they are
too soft.
Yeah,
right?
whatever. They're not man enough, and cowboys should fly in front of their horses and all that garbage. Where it's around how the balancing of both roles and children seeing both of their parents comfortable in both of their roles that allows the children themselves to be balanced.
100%.
I mean, I know, Alana, you've got 2 boys. I've got one of each. Janice, I'm not sure
I
about
have
you.
2 boys and a girl, and my oldest boy is a stay-at-home dad right now. So it's beautiful. It's beautiful to watch how much he is loving that too. So there was something there I was going to add in, and it's
Well, even just while you're contemplating it, like you said, it's I'm seeing from both my boys as well as like they are very much not my generation's, like the boys and men that I grew up with, right? And their dad, they're very much a different set of rules, and they're okay with all of that. Well, I mean, even just right now, this generation of like being creating their own identities and all of these different things and taking their power in it. Whereas before, if any of this was going on, it'd be like, oh, like there's no way you can move and be fluid in that. Like that's not how things go. And just seeing that, and like you said, my oldest has a 9-month-old now, and he, as much as he's in the military and in that masculine role, he loves spending time with his son and being there, and he feels like he really wants to be present and part of it, as opposed to being like, like originally whenever things happened, it was, oh, well, I'm checking out, I gotta go to work now, and it's not like that.
Mm.
Did you come up
It's
with your
gone.
thought?
I can't remember what it's gone. Yes, it wasn't important. So, it's a beautiful conversation though, because, that's that balance within all of us. And it doesn't, with these mixed marriages and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's the balance of both divine and feminine.
It's nurturing and it's the intimacy, and that's the thing that for if we go back again and we look through the history, we've lost a lot of intimacy in terms of our connection with people, and this is what's starting to come back in again through the work that we all are shepherding into the world and stewarding into the world. It is about, and that intimacy has to start with an intimacy with me. Because if I'm not intimate with myself, and on every level, and not just, a lot of people talk about intimacy as just being sexual. Well, absolutely hell no. It's got so many other facets to what intimacy is about. And it has to start with that. It starts with self-awareness for me. That's where intimacy, that's the seed within which intimacy is actually born. And yeah, the more that we can be into, and that was something that I mourned. What I realized yesterday when I was going through this release was just how little time that I had to grieve anything. Wasn't able to grieve my lost childhood by being this little 33-month-old stepping into being the adult already. I wasn't able to grieve that. Couldn't grieve my dad's passing. Didn't grieve my sister's passing. Didn't grieve the loss of my business, because here I was holding space for everybody else.
And it comes full circle back to loving ourselves, right? Sorry.
And it's taken me 3.5 years to go through that grieving cycle where I am not hooked by what has happened and transpired anymore. It's just, it served my greater good. But only when you've gone through and processed through it, can you actually see the good that it's actually manifested. And it's, this kind of work's not for the faint-hearted, I have to just say.
No, and I feel that you go back to the very beginning of our conversation when we talked about bringing this into bringing the 5D into the world. I am just now beginning to realize that is not going to be necessarily an easy, flowy journey of, hey guys, let's all gather. It's going to be challenging us every step of the way to stay in our power and to bring that in. Yeah.
Going into the lioness's den in a week.
Exactly. Right? That's exactly it. Yeah. So grateful for you ladies.
Have us with you sitting on your shoulder.
Yes. Yes.
Well, it's go ahead.
Sorry, going to say, Alana, it's going to be very interesting when Janice is finished with her talk, and when we get back and hear about her experience and what's actually transpired through being in that kind of environment and how you are received. And that was something that I wanted to share was I have become very, not only convinced, but very much at peace with whatever we are sending out. It's not about, it's about who's resonating with what's being sent out. So you may not have everybody in the room resonating with what you've said, but there will be some, and it's the some that are the most important, as opposed to the old 3D ones. I have to convince everybody. No, I don't. I don't have to convince everybody of anything. Here's a message, take it or leave it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And this will be kind of the foundation of what I bring forward is the stepping into your power, each and every one of us. And I loved what you said, Angela, and I wrote it down, was power emanating from truth, the truth of who you are, because I am speaking on essence. That's my topic, your essence. And your essence is the fundamental core quality of something at its source. It is its truth.
Yeah.
And so I love, if you're okay, I would love to use that to, power emanating from your truth, your essence.
And it's also not about performing. We don't have to step on a stage and perform anymore. We have a message that we are carrying out into the world. And it's the comfort that we have within ourselves that allows us just to be the messenger and then detach from everything else.
Oh,
We've got
that
another
is so true. So, so true.
Yes.
Being able to be the vessel for the information, right? Getting up. I mean, I love speaking from that place of I have bullet points. I know what I'm going to talk about. Okay, universe, allow me to be the vessel. And I feel that nervousness for the first maybe minute or two. And then it just flows. And it's so beautiful. And when I say beautiful, and when I'm in it, I'm not thinking it's beautiful. I'm just delivering. It's after the fact when people come up to you and go, "Oh my goodness, it was like you were speaking to me,"
Mhm.
right? That's when you see the beauty, right? That people are getting what it is that they're needing or that they're looking for. It's wonderful. So I'm
I
excited
know
to
what,
hear about
yeah.
your experience, Janice. I really am.
Thank you. Yes,
Oh,
because I hear what you're saying. It is like being that vessel. That is, and it is beautiful for you because the feeling that floods through you is so filled with peace and calm and
absolutely.
assuredness, right?
Yeah,
I
you
know
just
when
feel
sorry, Pamela, I know when I'm in flow is when I don't remember a thing that I've said or a thing that I've written. And then I go back and I look and go, ooh, who wrote that? Where did that come from? That's when I know that I'm in flow, is because it's not about performing at all. It's not about this contrived noise of, hello, everybody, look at me. It's not about that at all.
no.
Well, it
No,
comes
I
back
did a
to
video.
us. I was just going to
Sorry,
say,
Ellen.
it comes back to us and what we're here for, what we're in this conversation for, to be the lighthouse, to be the truth, right? Sorry. Go ahead, Pam.
No, that's okay. I remember, people telling me over the years how powerful I am, and it landed, but it didn't land. If that makes any sense at all. I'm like, I don't know what you're seeing, but okay, fine. Well, I actually watched a video. This is a few years back of myself that I had shared, and it actually brought me to tears. And I'm like, oh, I think I get it now. I didn't get it till I actually received what it was that I was delivering. And I
And
was
so
like,
you owned it. So you owned it. And that's exactly what we're talking about
yes,
in terms of ownership.
yeah,
Own who you are.
yeah,
That's your essence, Janice. Own that essence
Mhm.
because it is yours.
yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Thank you. Mm.
We're so excited to hear what happens
Right?
to you.
Well, I am going in knowing that I am going to learn a lot too from everyone there. So
Here are the details.
what-
When and where? Where are
Yeah,
you going
when
to
and
be?
where
I
are
was
you going?
gonna say the same thing.
yeah, well, the conference is called Gatherama, and actually, I have to post too. People can go. I mean, we want you all to go. It's in Salt Lake City, and it is the 27th until the 30th, or the 29th, I should say, the 27th to the 29th. Mm-hmm.
And then when are you
Nice.
sharing?
Yes, I am speaking on the 28th, and I am speaking about essence, and Alana, I have to write my speech
Excellent.
because I'm throwing the other one in the garbage.
Yes. And then you'll have to we'll,
Well, you
we'll
guys have been-
include the information and details in the show notes in case somebody wants to.
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure. We can do that.
Right.
You guys have been very helpful. I can feel it all forming already. So it's all perfect. Yeah.
That's
Thank
why it
you.
wasn't meant to be the old one, because you had together with us.
Yes.
take a little piece of us with you.
That's
Yes.
right.
Well, and Pamela, when you talk about that flow, it's like that's the way I do my programs is I channel it. I sit and go, okay, what is it this for this topic? Tell me.
I could
Show me, lead
actually
me.
see you going on stage with a few bullet points and you just being able to deliver what you need to deliver. There is
And that-
no doubt in my mind.
Oh, thank you. And that is like way easier than having a plan. And that's what I had. I had a topic, I kind of filled it out. I had ChatGPT throw together some ideas. And so it was very left-brained. And that's not the way I work normally. So it was very interesting. Like last night when I got that response, I'm like, oh, you know what? She's right. It's not me. So
Well, and
this,
I've been in the same boat. I'm speaking at an event here locally next Saturday. So I've
right.
been in the same, like, oh my gosh. And then I even had this conversation the other day of like, I used to create a speech. I've done public speaking before. I've done training for public speaking. I've done like, way back in the day, we can get 4-H and all that stuff. But like, and gotten significant awards from it. And it's like, oh, I need to, now that I'm doing this presentation in person, I feel like I need to show up differently than I do. And like you said, my training, when I'm doing any of my, even the events that I host, I prep a few like housekeeping notes and that's it. The
Mhm.
rest of it just comes from me. So it's like, that was the thought that came in, is like, oh, I haven't prepared a speech yet. And I'm like, oh, I don't need to prepare a speech.
The nerves that and the anxiety and the stress that we go under to prepare the perfect speech. It's like,
Mhm.
oh, that is old school. And I remember there used to be a time that I'd have sweaty palms, be nervous as all heck to get up in front of people. And it's like, no, not now.
It's not
Like,
coming from the heart space. It's coming from here instead of
Yes,
from here. And Janice, I mean, you're so
absolutely.
good at this, the from the heart space. We all are. And
Yeah,
it's that. That's exactly the voice of the feminine speaks through the heart. She doesn't speak through here.
Absolutely.
This is so cool.
It's beautiful. As usual. It's always beautiful with you guys.
mhm.
I woke up this morning going, yay, it's Friday. I get to hang
Right?
out with my with
Love
my
Fridays.
girls. I get to hang
Oh,
out. Well, they're not girls. I get to hang out with my women today. I was so excited this morning when I woke up.
absolutely. Filling our buckets. And
yes.
this is my second call today of filling my bucket. So
Mhm.
were you
too.
on there, Alana?
For which one?
On
On
Kathleen's
your
call?
call. Right? Yes.
Hmm? Oh, sorry, you
Hello?
froze. I
I'm
froze.
frozen.
I think I froze. So yeah, on the Kathleen's call, because I knew that you
I was
are,
going to and I didn't. I forgot about it. I was busy with other things.
yeah.
Well, I think it was because I thought I was supposed to be on here at the same time.
Okay. Yeah.
That threw me off.
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna get
All
on that. I
good.
forgot about it.
It's all good. But these gatherings
That
just help you remember your power, right? Help bring you back home. So
Janice,
thank
and
you, ladies.
it's only 12 noon for you, so you've still got a whole day ahead of you.
Yes, I have a group of my own group here in an hour, and then I am doing a painting workshop tonight. So got a couple things.
Awesome.
Hmm.
I love this.
Okay,
Thank you so much, ladies.
thank you, Alana,
Thank
as always.
you. Yes. Thank you,
Pamela,
Alana.
Thank you,
Janice.
guys. I just so love each and one of you. It's amazing.
Much
Let
love
that
and
love spread.
much love and much light.
Mm.
And remember to take love in for yourself this weekend over this Mother's Day. Spend some time with just you and return that love that we put out
Mhm.
there.
Mhm.
Gonna.
Yes. And to everyone out there, thank you
Yeah,
for
happy
watching.
Mother's Day.
Happy
Celebrate
Mother's Day.
you.
And I would suggest even challenging each and every one of you to spend some time for you to just feel and experience love for yourself more than you ever have.
Yep, I'll stick.
Absolutely. All
Excellent.
right.
Have a beautiful day, ladies.
Thank
See
you.
you
Bye.
next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.